Socrates, often called the founder of Western philosophy, never wrote a single book, and that's exactly why he's so dangerous to miss. Everything we know about him comes mostly from his student Plato, who preserved Socrates' ideas through dramatic dialogues. Socrates became famous for two ideas that still shape how we think today: the Socratic method and Socratic irony. The Socratic method works through rapid-fire questions and answers, slowly exposing cracks in what people think they understand. Over and over, these conversations end in total confusion, where no one can actually define the thing they were so confident about minutes earlier. Socrates would deliberately pretend to be ignorant, luring his opponents into revealing how flawed their logic really was. This intellectual trap was known as Socratic irony. Socrates also believed that virtue is knowledge. According to him, people don't do bad things because they're evil. They do them because they're ignorant. This idea leads to one of his most radical claims: no one willingly does wrong, and perhaps his most famous quote sums up his entire philosophy: I know that I know nothing. Miss this and you miss the foundation of Western thought. Plato pushed philosophy into even deeper territory with his theory of forms, a concept so extreme it challenges reality itself. He argued that the physical world isn't truly real, it's just a flawed copy of a perfect invisible world. Every tree you see isn't the tree, but an imitation of the ideal eternal tree that exists beyond space and time. Plato explains this idea through the unforgettable allegory of the cave. Imagine people chained inside a cave their entire lives, staring at shadows on a wall. They name these shadows and believe that's all reality is, but the shadows are lies. The real objects exist behind them, illuminated by fire. For Plato, what we see with our senses is just the shadow. True reality can only be grasped through reason. Once you understand this, it's impossible to see the world the same way again. Aristotle, Plato's most famous student, took a hard turn away from his teacher. Plato believed forms existed separately from physical objects, but Aristotle rejected that idea completely. For him, forms don't live in some distant realm. They exist inside the things themselves. The form of an apple isn't floating in another world. It exists in every apple you've ever seen. This view, known as immanent realism, grounded philosophy in reality instead of abstraction. Aristotle also believed the universe was made of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Ether, he thought, filled the cosmos and formed the stars and heavenly spheres. Whether right or wrong, Aristotle's influence shaped science for thousands of years, and skipping him means missing the bridge between philosophy and modern science. Epicurus believed philosophy had one job: make life better, specifically help people live happy, calm lives free from fear. And according to him, the biggest fear destroying human happiness was the fear of death. His solution was brutally simple: death isn't scary because you'll never experience it. When you exist, death doesn't. When death exists, you don't. Epicurus taught that reality consists of only 2 things: atoms and void. Atoms are tiny, indestructible particles defined only by shape, size, and weight. If atoms could change, the universe itself would collapse. He argued that atoms are infinite, the void is infinite, and therefore there are infinite worlds. Even your senses, he said, depend on atoms. Objects constantly release particles that interact with your body, creating sensations like sight, sound, and smell. Red objects don't emit red particles. The particles just move in a way that causes your brain to perceive red. Because Epicurus trusted the senses so deeply, he's considered an early empiricist, a mindset that still dominates modern science. Pythagoras believed the universe could be decoded through numbers. To him, reality wasn't chaos, it was math. His followers searched for abstract principles that shaped existence itself, helping lay the foundation for Greek idealism. They believed in the immortality of the soul and reincarnation, claiming life didn't end, it repeated. And yes, this is the same Pythagoras behind the Pythagorean theorem, a formula so fundamental it still rules classrooms today. Miss Pythagoras, and you miss the moment math became a philosophy of reality. Diogenes didn't just reject society, he openly mocked it. As a founder of cynicism, he believed money, power, fame, and social status were traps that distract from true happiness. Real freedom came from living naturally, simply, and without shame. Diogenes owned almost nothing: a cloak, a staff, and a small bag. He openly ate, slept, urinated, defecated, and even pleasured himself in public, completely indifferent to social rules. His message was brutal: society's norms are fake, and virtue virtue is the only thing that matters. When asked where he came from, Diogenes didn't name a city or country. He said he was a citizen of the world, one of the earliest ideas of cosmopolitanism ever recorded. I'll be making more philosophy videos like this. Subscribe now because missing these ideas means missing the roots of how you think today.